everyone, and welcome back to Fiction Tea with Tea. Today we're going to talk about Legion. I just finished watching the Season 2, Chapter 9, Episode 1. We have an opening with Oliver and Lenny who are laying down in this pool, but they're laying down on these yellow mats surrounded in a pool of water. Oliver transitioning, he takes us into his mind, which transitions into some guy, the narrator, into his vision, and then it transfers back into Oliver's vision where he's in the club sipping a martini. The whole scene was so trippy, and I felt like I was in Inception. If you guys have seen the Inception, where they go into a dream inside of a dream inside of a dream, it felt like I was in Inception. It felt like that's what I was watching. The narration about the maze reference and the single black door with the word bar over top of it. Music buildup was really a really good way for them to pull us in. And I really enjoyed that scene. I love that scene because it was so mysterious, and it gave off this feeling of like we're about to go into this. Like we're about to open this single door and like go into the darkness and try to figure out what's going on. So we learned that there are some new characters. We have this guy who's wearing a basket over top of his head, who's like the boss. And then we have these women with mustaches, also robots of some sort. And we learned that David is in a coma, and when he wakes up out of the coma, he immediately says, "I want waffles," which is like his favorite thing. I remember season 1, episode 1, when he showed up at his sister's house, he was just like, "Do you guys have waffles?" And he was just going crazy about waffles. What is up with people in these waffles? I love waffles, but dang, it made me want waffles. And the fact that they had the waffles just like floating on this tray where you could just basically pick up some waffles and eat it, like that was like all you can eat buffet for waffles. And I was like, that's tight. Like, is this real or is this in his dream? Like, where store they at that they're getting unlimited free waffles like this? Waffle buffet, where can I find it? So we learned that David has been gone for some time now, and he thinks he's been gone for only a day. Meanwhile, it's been like a year. And he was sucked into this sphere, and after he was sucked into the sphere, everything kind of changed, and he forgot really what happened after that. And meanwhile, everyone's telling him like, "Where you been at? Do you remember what happened?" So they try to look for Oliver. They find out that Oliver, he out here. Oliver's out here. He's infecting people mentally with his power, and it shows the people kind of standing around the circle like chattering their mouths. I really liked that scene because it was different. It was something that was like, whoa, this is like super complex. The show itself is really complex. You really have to pay attention to every single detail if you really want to know what's going on. Sometimes you're guessing as you watch the episodes prolong, you figure out what's going on, and sometimes it's just pure entertainment and detail, and the psychological aspects of the show are just really good and on point, to be honest. Then Sydney finds Melanie, who's like in her room. She looks very distressed and lonely, and she kind of looks a little cuckoo. And she's just sitting on the floor. Her hair is cut. Her face looks like she's not wearing makeup. She looks completely different. She doesn't look as happy and lively. She just looks kind of drained out. And Sydney comes in and tells her like, "We're gonna find Oliver. It's gonna be fine." And, you know, she's just like, things change and they're gonna come back, and they're always different when they come back. She's just kind of like in her own world. She's not really, it's almost like she detached herself from what's really happening. She knows it's happening, but at the same time, she's not completely in it. So next thing you know, she's getting high off that blue stuff that Lenny and David were getting high off of. And when the smoke blows in her face and she lays down, first of all, she lays down as if she's Jesus on the cross. I thought that was pretty, I thought that was very noticeable. But also, there's a scene where she's laying down and upside down, there's like this beast, some sort of being, which is like rolling around on a wheelchair, but also has like crutches on. And I'm just like, is that a metaphor for her? in some sort of way that it's like she's trying to regain strength, but at the same time she can't. So she's in a wheelchair and she's crippling herself. I don't know, some sort of metaphor with that whole thing. I hope we get to see more of what that being is and what's going on with that whole thing. But that was interesting. So this episode is broken down into chapters, which I thought was very interesting. This is all the episodes are about 50 minutes long. So it's broken down to chapters. So then we get this animated story about this butterfly and this guy. And then it leads us to this egg cracking with a chicken inside of it. Another egg cracking with like this black, broken down looking creature of some sort. And of course, Lenny shows up with the creature, kisses the creature, and they have some sort of connection. I like the animation part of that. So David finally meets the guy with the basket on his head and the mustache robotic women, and they basically tell him, we're gonna kill Oliver. We're gonna kill the Shadow King. We don't care if Oliver is the host, because the host has to die too. And David's just like, no, we can't kill the host. Oliver's a cool guy. We cannot kill him. So Carrie shows David this tank that he made, that you basically have to get in, take all of your clothes off, and lay in the water and float, and it's dark. And it's very compact. It kind of reminds me of this machine. I forget what it's called, but I watched an interview about somebody talking about this machine that you get inside of by yourself, and it's full of water and it's dark. And I believe this is a real machine that actually exists that costs thousands. It costs some money. So if you're rich, you're able to access this machine. So I thought it was interesting that they put that in here. As far as I know about the machine, you get in, you lay down, you go into like your subconscious or something like that, which is what David was doing. Yeah, I thought it was pretty cool. The conversation between Sid and Memory Guy, and Memory Guy asks her like, do you really believe David? I think that perhaps him and the Shadow King, they're still attached in some way. And, Sydney's just like, that's my man. I believe him. No. She's very loyal, but she's also in denial at this point. She's pretty much in denial, and she's staying loyal and true to David, which is like, that's what's up. But at the same time, her loyalty blinds her from actually seeing, like, maybe something else is going on with David, and you might want to be a little cautious. It kind of goes into this whole dance-off scene where Dave's having a dance-off against Oliver and against Lenny. Even Carrie gets involved and is like dancing around, putting like different pieces of hooking up different parts of the machine. And yeah, David's dancing, and it goes into like this whole, what's it called when people are dancing, like flash? I noticed they do a lot of that in the show. I remember last season they did that, the whole dance scene, the whole flash scene. The whole flash mob dancing. Question, there's something that Sydney actually asks David. She says, no more lies. And he's like, okay, no more lies. But his eyes kind of avert when he says that. David, no more secrets. Promise me, no more secrets. He's like, okay, no more secrets. But when he says no more secrets, his eyes kind of go like that. So then we go to the scene where it shows what really happened when David went into that orb. Now, when he was in the orb, he turns around and everything is dark. It's pitch black. And then he sees Sid, who's dressed in like these ancient old type garb outfit with like a scarf and the necklace that he gave her. She pulls out a wand and starts drawing things to talk to him, because she says, we can't talk. You got to be silent. She draws the letter 8, and then she draws an hourglass in relation to time, and he learns that she's from the future, he's actually in the present time right now, and that the Shadow King's actually trying to find his body. And David's just like, okay, like, so what? And she's like, she writes, help him. And it's just like, help him? You want me to help the Shadow King? You want me to help the Shadow King find his body back? Like, why? And then it ends up because I believe someone sent her to tell him this, and then when he goes back, he ends up finding Lenny at the club, at the rave, and he kisses Lenny. And you know what that happens? That means that he found the Shadow King. So I assume that at the end, when he kissed Lenny, that was him going to Lenny to be like, okay, here, you can take back my body, and here I am. You're looking for me, here I am. And then it goes off. Oh, great intro episode. I really enjoyed the intro episode. There's a lot going on, so I know there's going to be a lot happening throughout this season, and I'm excited to watch more. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and comment below, let me know your thoughts about this video. Also, when you're into science fiction and you're into superpowers and mental illness, you will really enjoy this book, Rain, that I wrote. It is about young adults in a psych ward who are trying to figure out what's really going on and what do they really have mental illnesses, how do they get there, and then they meet this counselor who shows up and he's trying to figure out what's really going on and why are they really in here, because most of them, there's nothing really wrong with them. He finds out that they have abilities similar to this show, and from there everything just starts happening. It involves some thriller scenes, crazy thriller, some horror, science fiction. Go get you a copy. The link is in the description box below. And I will see you all next time. Peace out.